Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Alicia and I'm the owner of Alicia Be Creative. Today we're going to be making a couple of snow globe style tumblers. I'm going to show you a new, more suspended technique that I have been trying out that I'm kind of loving. And we're going to be using some brand new UVDTFs as well. So everything will be listed and linked in the description box. Let's go ahead and get started. So we are starting with these 9-ounce sublimatable hog glass snow globe mugs. So these are double-walled glass, and we're going to be applying these UV DTFs, which I'm going to show you in the next clip. What I love about the hog tumblers and the snow globe cups is that they come with the plugs on the bottom, which just makes it a little bit easier if you're one who struggles with getting that UV resin to fill that hole. These are the beautiful UV DTFs that I actually got from Aisha Creations, and you can find some of these on her website. She just started selling UVDTF prints and I've actually never used them before, but of course you guys know I'm going to show you exactly how to use them in today's video. So once I have gotten my cups sort of out of the box and I've showed you obviously the prints that we're going to be choosing from, I'm going to be using the polyacrylic from Minwax. So this is the gloss polyacrylic that I always typically use to seal my washi tapes and things or my holographic vinyl. And so we're actually going to use this in the same technique that we would when we're creating glitter ornaments and things around the holidays. We're going to actually use that same technique to get a more suspended glitter look for one of our cups. So I did end up putting polyacrylic just a little bit in both of the cups. And what I did find is that you want to go in with less than you think you'll need. I went a little heavy-handed and it was a little bit difficult with these cups because it has a little bit of like a bowed in top where the hole is, so it's a little bit hard to drain out the excess liquid you have at the bottom. So that was a little bit challenging. So I definitely would go in with probably no more than like 7.5 mLs of the polyacrylic and really just take your time swirling it all the way around and covering all of the glass on the inside of the cup. And I feel like that would work the best. So for one cup, I was able to fully drain this because originally I was going to do 2 suspended globe looks. But then I was having a little bit of trouble with the second glass, getting it to fully sort of dissipate or dry out, even though I had left it for a good few hours to kind of dry. I decided to change the second one into a traditional snow globe look using, of course, my favorite solution, magical liquid. So what you're going to want to do, and you'll see me doing here, I put a little bit of polyacrylic in the actual snow globe, and I'm just taking my time here to just really swirl around that polyacrylic to get a nice thin layer and thin coat of that throughout the entire cup. I want to cover this cup on the inside, you know, from top to bottom, because we want to make sure that when we add the glitter that we're going to be able to cover every inch on the inside of this cup with that glitter, so you get that beautiful like suspended glitter look, because it literally is going to be stuck to the inside of the glass here. So once you've gotten it all swirled around, I did set these upside down, so like, you know, the open section flat on my table. I set it down and left it alone for probably about 3 hours before I picked it up. Probably didn't need to leave it as long, but again, I was trying to drain a bit of it too, so I kept going back and forth by attempting to drain the bit of liquid that was excess in the bottom multiple times, which is why I left it so long to hopefully let most of it dry. So for one of the cups, I was able to successfully get it to dry after a couple of hours, but with the second cup, it was just too much liquid in there and almost impossible for me to drain it. So I ended up just kind of switching gears and changing that into that traditional snow globe look. So let's go ahead and get into the next clip, of course, which is after we've let these sit. We're going to go ahead and add some glitter to both of these cups. All right, so now into my favorite part, which is adding glitter. So we're actually going to use 3 glitters today, believe it or not. So in the suspended glitter look, which is just going to look like the inside of, you know, a traditional ornament that we've made and that I've made on my channel in the past, we're going to be adding Plumsy, which is a holographic purple glitter from Aisha Creations. I'm also going to be adding to the snow globe tumbler that we're going to turn into a traditional snow globe. I'm going to go ahead and add this brand new glitter from her most recent Glynol box. I have the blue to purple UV, and then I'm also going to use the pink to purple UV. So those are both UV changing glitters, so in the sunlight they will change from both the pink and blue colors to a beautiful, gorgeous like lilac purple. So with the suspended glitter look, we are just going to go in with almost, I would say half, maybe 15 mLs of glitter. I would say. I went in with a lot of glitter because, again, I did have more of an excess of the polyacrylic in here. Normally, if I was doing a traditional, ornament, I wouldn't need as much glitter. But for this, I really did because I was trying to really dry up all of that excess liquid that was in there. There wasn't a whole lot, but there was a little bit at the rim. So what I just keep doing is adding glitter and shaking the cup, moving the cup back and forth to really get a beautiful coating on all sides of the glass so that when I turn this in my hand 360, I'm able to only see glitter. I'm not able to see any gaps in the glass or any parts that aren't covered in glitter. So take your time with this. I didn't bother dumping out any of the excess either because, again, ran into kind of that same situation where because the glass snow globes have that indent, right, the glass is kind of blown inward to create that hole. It creates sort of like almost like a dome slightly on the edges of that hole. So it's really hard to get items back out of those kinds of cups. So I just left the excess glitter in there. It's not going to hurt anything. It's not going to really make a difference, if you will, in your final product to have that glitter sitting in there, especially in this look because you're not even going to be able to see it through the glitter that's already coating all of the glass. So in the second cup here, again, we're going to go in with that blue to purple UV glitter. This is more of a chunky mix. So the blue to purple UV is like the chunkier, and then I'll use a medium cut, which is the pink to purple UV glitter from that most recent box. And so you'll see me again trying to get the rest of the solution out of here. Again, like I said a couple times already, I end up switching gears completely and just making this a true snow globe in its final look. But we're going to go ahead and get this glitter in here. So this is a little bit of a chunkier mix. So I did have to take a little bit of time to get all of that chunky in there. So I did about 15 mLs of the blue to purple UV glitter, the chunky blue. And then I came back and did another half a measuring cup full of the pink to purple UV glitter as well. And so after I've gotten this in here, and you're going to see me add the solution as well in the next clip, but after I've gotten that in there, I have enough glitter to probably be about 1/2 inch or so if I'm looking at the cup with the opening of the cup, the mouth of the cup on the bottom of my, or downward on my table. If you look at the side view, I have probably about 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch between all of that glitter that I added. And that's typically my go-to. I don't want there to be too much glitter that there isn't any movement with my liquid. But I also want there to be enough glitter that it doesn't look sparse or look kind of empty. So that's kind of my rule of thumb when it comes to how much glitter I add to my snow globe tumblers. I don't know if I've explained that before, but it's not always like a measurement of glitter. It's always like what it looks like on the side of the cup to determine if I have enough. So now we're getting into adding our solution since I've added all of the glitter for that. So I'm putting together my solution that I have been using, which is magical liquid. I had about 1/2 bottle left of this magical liquid. So I ended up filling the syringe bottle, the bottle that I used to put my solution in my cups. I just used that, filled the rest of that with the magical liquid, and then filled that to the top with just some bottled water. Distilled water is fine too, but I didn't have any on hand. I was out of that, so I just used bottled water, which is just the same. You don't really want to use tap water. You want to try to avoid that only because tap water can potentially mold. So I always err on the side of caution and will use distilled water, certainly my number one, but when in doubt, you could always use bottled water because that is filtered as well. So we're going to go ahead and get this filled. And so I'm just going in a little bit at a time. And because I already had that polyacrylic solution, I didn't really have to worry about the glitter sticking sort of to that top rim, which sometimes can happen if you put your glitter in first. I was really able to get most of this moving pretty easily and pretty quickly. So you'll see I do a lot of tapping just to attempt to release any air, kind of get everything moving and jiving and really starting to mix really well. And then I'm just going to take my time here and try and fill the entire cup with as much solution as possible. So I have not been able to nail with these cups specifically how to fill them to the tippy top with absolutely no air in them. They've actually been a little bit trickier than like the Starbucks dupes that I've been using in a lot of my previous tutorials. So typically what I have found that happens that is easiest to do that in the other styles of snow globe cups is to get the air bubble to line up directly under the hole that you're putting the solution in, and then that releases the air and then forces the liquid in. For these are a little bit tricky and it's very difficult to get that little air bubble that's in the bottom of the cup. to be directly under the hole. And I think a lot of it has to do, again, with that little domed area where the glass, you know, is forced in to create the hole. So I haven't quite nailed that yet, but if you have tips and you've done these before and been able to successfully fully fill them, let me know your tips and tricks down below, because I'm determined to like get this right, to have like a fully filled snow globe. But certainly, let me know if you have any tips for me or have seen other makers do this super successfully, because these have been a little bit troublesome, more so than any of the other cups that I've done snow globe style in the past. So of course, once I have filled this completely, I made quite a bit of a mess trying to get the last bit of air out. I was able to get it down to like 1/4 size bubble, but I was really trying really hard to get rid of that bubble with no luck, unfortunately. But once I'm done sort of filling this, I will let it gas off. Typically, I like to let my tumblers, snow globe cups, gas off for at least overnight, so 12 to 24 hours if possible. I really didn't have much more air come to the top or rise to the bottom, technically, after I had let it sit overnight. But after that is done, we're going to go into decorating our lids for these, the cute little bamboo lids that go with this, and then, of course, sealing the bottom of these, which is super quick and super easy. So when your cups have gassed off, you can go ahead and pop the little plugs that come with these right into the bottom of here. And so they're really easy to get into the bottom. Just be careful that you don't force them all the way in. Make sure that you have, of course, the lip of that on the outside of the snow globe, and that will completely seal these. So I do end up going and putting some UV resin over the bottom as well to seal, which you'll see in another clip. But we're going to go ahead and get these prepped to add our decals. So right now you're just seeing me clean off the glass with 91% rubbing alcohol, because we want to make sure that our decals are going to stick. I'm not going to scuff up the surface because, again, I'm not going to be epoxying these, and I don't want any of the scratch marks that would be created with sanding to show through the glass. So now we're going to go ahead and use these cute butterfly decals to add to our snow globe tumbler. And so again, these are UVDTF decal sheets that I got from my Aisha Creations. And so let's talk a little bit about the UVDTF, the decal sheets and what they are. So very different from other decal sheets that you might be familiar with. UVDTF decal sheets are meant to be permanent decals that don't need to be epoxied over. So you guys have seen me use decal sheets for my Aisha Creations before, much different. Those are ones that are, although considered permanent, can be worn over time, right? Like any permanent decal could be, as far as like vinyl and things. So these though are specially created to be a little bit thicker, I would say, than like a traditional vinyl feel, but they're meant to be used and on like a final surface, and you can use these on various things. You don't have to use them on just snow globe cups. That's most what you'll see people using them on, but you can use them on stainless steel cups. You can use them on really any surface, honestly, is what I've seen. I'm really interested if this would like work as a car decal. I might try that on my own car and let you know. But these are really nice because they're, again, those UVDTFs, they're supposed to be pretty good as far as like wear and tear goes. Of course, everything is going to wear over time, but they're supposed to last a lot longer than if you were just to use permanent vinyl or something. And what's really nice is not having to epoxy over these really does make it a little bit easier. I know sometimes people get a little bit nervous about epoxying over glass, and sometimes that can be a deterrent for wanting to do these kinds of tumblers. But this is also great for like those single walled plastic cups, right? Like the Starbucks cups, or like just the traditional plain ones that you can get from any store, right? Adding these decals to the cup really will make a beautiful look, with, of course, not needing to use some sort of covering over top to get them to last a long time. So they're really also easy to apply, and I'm sure you've seen me as I've been talking through this, how I've applied them. But it comes with its own transfer sheet, and so you just cut them and then place them on your cup. You're going to want to make sure that you squeegee them down really well, and that way when you remove the top transfer tape, that you don't remove part of the decal with it. So really squeegee them or rub them and burnish them down into whatever surface you're applying them to, and then very gently pull back on that top transfer sheet, pulling from right to left or left to right, never up and down or down to up, because that does tend to ruin your decal a little bit more than if you do the side to side method. So the other thing that I have learned is that you don't want to apply a section of your DTF over another DTF section. Sometimes when I have done that, I've done one other cup, I accidentally had like the corner of it on another decal and I wasn't paying attention, and it ripped that very small section up. So just be mindful. I try and cut as close to the decal as possible. That way I don't have to run the risk of potentially getting the transfer tape onto another section that I've already burnished down. But that is just something else that I noted when I was using these. They really are really easy to use, like definitely much easier than weeding vinyl for sure. So that's a super plus. I got the Oopsie bundle from Maisha Creations, which is a bunch of wraps that she had created that she didn't size correctly. And then these 2 butterfly sheets and a sunflower sheet. I really love the single decal ones because it really does allow you to be unique and different in how you're creating the cups and how you're creating your decals, and not just having to stick solely to, you know, how it is on the actual tumbler. So I did love that. I am interested to try these on a couple of other projects that are not glass, you know, style tumblers, maybe some stainless steel cups. I have a couple of single walled cups too that I want to try these out on and really just test out their longevity. I am loving these so far, so I definitely stay tuned because maybe these will definitely be popping up in future tutorials. So now we're going to go ahead and get into decorating our lids. So the first thing I'm doing here is I'm just painting, or coloring I should say, the lids in with both a purple marker and a white marker, which I will link down in the description box. They're just acrylic paint pen markers. Just makes it easier than having to get out the paint and a paintbrush to be able to get these lids colored so that we can apply the glitter to them. So I'm going to go ahead and pop out the little silicone section where the straw hole goes, just so that I don't accidentally get any of the UV resin into that section and ruin that silicone stopper there. Then going to go in with Trace Mostachios Co. UV resin. It's been my go-to as of recently. We're going to go ahead and get these glitter. So for the first lid, we're doing the white lid. So this is the white to purple UV glitter. This is a fine mix. Again, this is part of the last subscription box, which should be releasing soon if it hasn't already released on the Maisha Creation website. So I've just mixed about, I think it was about 10 mLs in that medicine cup. Then put enough glitter to cover over top all of that UV resin, mix thoroughly, and then I'm just going to take my stir stick and just drag from that pool that I put on the top from edge to edge to make sure I get a full, even, and flat section of UV resin all over this top. So just like I would with my, you know, keychains and things when I'm using UV resin, taking my time here to really make sure I'm getting edge to edge with my UV resin. That way I don't have any divots or any dimples in my UV resin when I go to cure this. So take your time here. Then when you're done, you're going to go ahead and set this under the lamp. I did it for about 60 seconds. I then ran it another 30 seconds while I was working on the second topper, just to be 100% sure that everything was nicely sealed. Then we're going to go ahead and work on our second topper here. So I will speed this up because literally it's the same process here, but we're going to go ahead and add that UV resin to the cup there, a new cup with the Plumsy color, which we used on the inside of that suspended glitter snow globe. Mix that up thoroughly, and then again, same method here, pour that onto the top, and then use my stir stick to just pull from that large pool or puddle of UV resin to go ahead and cover the entire top before I set it under the lamp. So again, about 90 seconds in total. I go 60 seconds and then I take it out, feel it, make sure it feels good, that there isn't any areas I missed, then go back in with a 30 seconds just to be sure. So after I'm done with that, the next thing that I do is I'm going to just very quickly seal the bottom of my snow globe. So just a dot or so right on the stopper at the bottom of the cup. I do kind of tilt it a little bit to make sure I get a nice even bit of that UV resin, not too much because again we don't want to create any wobble when we set this down on a flat surface. And then I just cure that for a good 30 seconds to make sure that this is also good and sealed and that stopper is not going to come undone. And just like that, these are done. So this was probably a full 24-hour project, especially with the gassing off, which took actually most of the time. But these were really quick, fun, and easy projects to be able to put together. Super cute. But let's go ahead and take a look at the final look. And of course, you know, I'm going to show you how this UV glittered one looks in the sunlight. So when you look at it in, you know, in your house, it's going to look white. It's going to look like it's white glitter inside of that snow globe, but it turns to this beautiful lilac purple. And I just love how these came out. If you loved today's video, be sure to give this video a huge thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys again in the next one. Bye!